Okay, greetings and peace, everyone. Welcome to the C.R.A YouTube channel, Committed Relationships and Spiritual Activity. My name is Neo, and I'm here to share some info with the people. All right, let's get straight into it. This one right here is going to be a part of my spirituality aspect of my channel here. I haven't done any new spirituality type of information, so I'm going to try to do more of that. So what I want to talk to you guys about is psychic sensitivity. Psychic sensitivity, aka psychic senses, ESP, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But for me, I like to call it being psychically sensitive, because that is much more lightweight when people hear it. And when people hear psychic senses or being psychic, that's like a ooey, scary, airy-fairy type of mind programming that most people have been put under. So they're kind of scared when they hear being a person being psychic and stuff like that. So I like to go with psychic sensitive, which it still is the same thing, being psychically sensitive. So I want to go into my brief background. I was born and raised here in Central New York State. And I was always one of those people who always felt different and always felt like there was something odd about this world. And like ever since I was younger, in kindergarten here in America, I was always psychically sensitive. And a lot of people were when they were younger. And that's because we were open psychically, and we haven't been placed under the dogma of our society. And that is what largely closes us, is the dogma that we put under all of the different media propagandas. So for me, anywhere between 4, I think, and 6 years of age, I've been psychically open. And I remember the earliest psychic experience is being able to perceive that this realm that we're in, our consciousness is in, it is actually a veil that's being put over us, making us perceive that this is a real reality. And with years of me studying and going through my own personal development, I realized that it is the brain that is the actual matrix that our consciousness exists in. So the brain is giving us this perception of we have a outer world, but it's really not real. And I saw a video on YouTube years ago when I was going through my studies, and it said that if you were to take a person's brain and hook it up to a CD-ROM in a computer, they would perceive another reality as if it's real. And this information, and hopefully I put a disclaimer up early, but this information is for the spiritual red pillars, not the sleeping blue pillars. You have to know the difference. So if you're scared of spiritual stuff and psychic stuff, I advise you stop listening to this right now, because it might make you sick, because you are not on the frequency yet. So get off of this right now. So me, early on when I was younger, I remember sitting on the mat in kindergarten, and I was perceiving that this reality is false, and there's something, and I can actually perceive like the veil in front of me, and I perceived that it was fake. So it took me years to really remember that memory, sitting on that mat, when I started to get back into psychic stuff and spirituality stuff. So that was my earliest experience with psychic stuff, and being able to perceive that this reality is not real, and we're living in a literal matrix, that is really, really complex. And the movie The Matrix is literally telling you people 100% truth. And those of us who are into the spiritual aspect of it, in the psychic aspect of that movie, we are the actual red pillars, spiritual red pillars of it, and that was the reason why we got attached and a liking to that movie early on. So that's my background, and then ever since then, I got pushed into the dogma, the media propaganda. That's the TV, the movies, the TV shows, the music, all of that decreased my psychic sensitivity, as it does with most people. And I'll go into that more later on. And then it took me years and years later on, like 2012, that's when I started to become more and more spiritually awakened. And then I became studying more about psychic senses. And I just overall started my personal development, just straight up stopped watching TV for like 2 years. I went into my 2-year fast. And boy, oh boy, did my psychic senses increase. So let's go into talking about what is psychic sensitivity. Psychic sensitivity is being conscious of all of the subtle energies that is around us constantly. There are a variety of psychic activity that goes on a variety of times wherever we are at. Even being at our home by ourselves, there still is some form of psychic activity going on. And psychic activity, whether we are conscious of it or not. And our psychic sensitivity will dictate what we perceive that's going on around us. Some people are on the psychic level to where they can actually perceive spirits moving around in their vicinity, whatever, however you say that word. How do you say that word? Somebody put that in the comments, the comment section, and I'm probably gonna look that up on the dictionary. Is it vicinity or vicinity? You know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. And then for me, when I'm really in the right mindset, the overall state of being, I could actually perceive the spirits. Like one time, there was a young lady that I was dating and hanging out with. She was telling me about how there's a guy that kept coming in her dream, and he was telling her something or doing something, and he was coming through the walls in her dreams. And then I tapped in, and I was like, okay, let me see who this is. And I tapped in, and it was actually her grandfather trying to talk to her. And her grandfather was literally, at that time, he was like floating over us. He was floating over us, and he made the transition. So that was one of the times where I was much more psychically sensitive. So just being aware of your surroundings, of the subtle energies, and there's a lot of subtle energies, and even being psychically sensitive to people's auric field. All of us have an auric field around us. It is an electromagnetic field around us that does a variety of things for us and to us, including attracting people, places, and things to us and repelling them away from us. And the more energy, positive energy we have within that auric field, and the stronger it is, the much more positive experience in life we are going to have, and the much more positive people, places, and things we are going to attract to us. So if you are an individual who have been having a negative experiences throughout your life, there's a good chance that your auric field is dirty, and you need to cleanse it, charge it up, and you'll feel much more cleansed within your own mind. You'll feel peaceful, happy, and your perception of life will be much more peaceful and a happier perception of life. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you guys why most people are not very psychically sensitive. The reasoning for that is, as I said before, the media dogma, the media propaganda of our world societies. Here in America, we have so much garbage on TV, so much garbage in the movies, and the movies that actually do speak truth about psychic senses. And my favorite to watch is Professor X and Jean Grey of X-Men, both the cartoon and the movies. This is all real information, and the reason why I gravitated toward them is because I knew that it was real, actual stuff that they're speaking about. So the thing is, though, you have to actually have the knowledge to be able to perceive what information is real and possible versus what they put in there just for theatrical purposes. Now we have the TV, the actual TV, the physical TV, and also the TV signal that produces negative waveforms that comes out from the TV. In particular, if you have any kind of outside source coming in, you have satellite TV, you have cable TV, even your Wi-Fi signals. All of these, if you are not on a high vibrating spiritual energetic level, those will negatively affect your psychic sensitivity because it negatively affects your brain. Not again, but I'm gonna tell you, our brains are a broadcaster and a receiver. This is all coming from my own personal development journey and me analyzing what's going on with my own body and doing a lot of trial and error. And you can get a variety of different psychic sensitivity, psychic books. One of the books I got was Psychic Senses for Dummies. That was like a basic book I started something like that. It was an orange book that I got. It's like Dummies 101, something like that. I'm gonna see if I can find the picture and put that up on the screen here. Let me see here. It's a receiver. Our brain is a receiver and a broadcaster. So what it does is those negative waves, they negatively affect us. So what you want to do is, if you can, don't have your TV in your bedroom, especially during your sleeping, when you sleep at night. Because when we sleep at night, a heavy amount of melatonin is supposed to be secreted within our brain. The melanin has so much properties, but one of the properties, it is a spiritual element of ourselves, spiritual substance. You can do so many things with it, and it is what allows us to be advanced psychics. And the more those of us who have a large amount of melanin and access to it within our brain, the more we have melanin within our brain and the higher energy we have within our brain, the more psychic we can be, and the higher dimensions we can go to. A lot of people here on this planet, and most here in America, their psychic senses, the highest it goes is just mundane stuff like being able to predict certain things, certain events, being able to read people's auric field. I'm on that level as far as reading people's auric fields. And really being able to perceive, it's a deep reading, being able to perceive beyond the projection that they put in public, their public projection. So people who think that they're hiding stuff from me, they're really not. They're really not hiding stuff from me, because I can read a lot about them. Let me see here. So, and it's a lot in these fortune tellers, a lot of these so-called fortune tellers, they're really on a mundane level. They're not that high on a level. The high ones is really being able to communicate with different beings, going to different levels of consciousness. And really the beings, I'm talking about like the gods, where they're like in control of different worlds. Gods, and they got so much power that only certain people would be able to perceive and communicate to these beings. You have to have like a certain amount of melanin, and the melanin, it really is, it's an access. It's like a key. It's like a key or access portal to be able to get into different dimensions. The more melanin you have, the more psychic you can be. Right. Let's see here. Then we have, so not only that, so that now I'm talking about not only the waves. Next, we're going to go ahead and talk about the TV programs. We have so many different things that go on throughout our society that teaches people that psychic senses are not real. And let me tell you about the propaganda, what's going on with world society, especially here in America. The controllers of world societies, they absolutely do not want people to be psychically sensitive at all. Because the more psychically sensitive a person is, the more they will be able to perceive throughout all of the governments, the world controllers, propagandas, tricks, lies, and whatever else it is that they have regarding mind control. This is how I am able to perceive what I call the various psychological traps. I have a psychological trap series here on my YouTube channel, on my homepage, that you can actually access and check out for yourself, that I have identified and put together, letting people know that these are the traps that I've identified first and foremost, and these are why they're traps and how to get out of them. I hope I put solutions in at least some of them, but I at least make people aware of what are these traps. And these traps, they keep people on a hamster wheel, seeking people, places, and things outside of themselves. One of the top psychic traps I tell people, and I have that, I think at the top, is your family. Your family is a psychological trap. If your family is not a nurturing, spiritually conscious family, and they don't care for each other, and there's a lot of bickering amongst each other, especially from your parents, as like with my mother and my oldest sister, there's a lot of bickering, a lot of negative energy, toxic energy. If you have a negative, dysfunctional family, then that is your psychological trap that you have to get out of. I fortunately recognized that in my life, and I got out of my psychic trap of that, and I explained that in one of my videos. So you can go ahead and check that psychic trap out. That series is very, very important. And you have to get out of your psychic traps as much as possible in order for you to raise your overall spiritual consciousness and also increase your psychic sensitivity. Because the more you get out of your psychic traps, the more energy you will be able to generate and maintain within your overall being. The thing that I've learned about psychic sensitivity is the more energy we have within our bodies, our overall being, and especially our brain, the more psychically sensitive and awareness we will have. So keep that in mind, and you will notice that. And as you go through your studies of psychic senses, you will see the importance of having energy, and energy is very, very important. All right, now I'm going to start talk about the dogma of religion. So, like I said, the world controllers of our world societies, they don't want us to have psychic sensitivity. So they want to do whatever they can to keep people away from understanding psychic sensitivity and spirituality. So now we have the moral dogma of religion. Religious dogma is one of the biggest tools, propaganda tools, to keep people from higher, true, authentic spirituality first and foremost, but especially psychic sensitivity, psychic phenomenon. That's why you see a lot of people who are nervous when they hear about psychic stuff and psychic sensitivity and things like that. That's the reason why I'm going to make sure that I have a disclaimer in the beginning of this video to keep all of those religious people away from this video, and giving them a heads up. But you already know, if you already been in religion or have encountered it in some way, shape, or form, that religion speaks down on anything psychic, and especially true spirituality. That's why I tell people that religion is not true spirituality. It is a spiritual ceremony, but it does not deal with true spirituality. If it were to actually deal with authentic spirituality, you would have been hearing more about psychic sensitivity, energy, how to generate it, how to transfer it. You would be hearing about telepathy, mind-to-mind communication, and that is true. That is actual. That is what's really possible. I know myself, first and foremost, and I'm getting better at reading people. And reading people deals with telepathy also. And being empathic is a form of telepathy. I am extremely empathic, and I have been an empath since I can remember, since like I said, when I was a child. But I never understood the reasons why I've been feeling all of these different emotions. And that was because I have been an empath for so many years, and I've been picking up on other people's energies. And other people have been sucking up my energies, those negative people, those energetic vampires. So that's just short. I'm not going to speak too much about it. This video has been way over what I wanted, but I said I wanted to get everything that I need to get in here, and okay, this is it. So now, how do you become psychically sensitive? First, I want to tell you guys this. Only do it for your own sake, your own protection, first and foremost. Do not do it so that you can spy on people and you can manipulate people and do anything cruel. Me, I got into psychic sensitivity because I just was naturally open from the start. I just remained more focused on increasing it so that I can understand, number one, what's going on, and then also now I see the importance of it, especially being able to perceive throughout the government's propagandas. However, it has also provided me the ability to be able to read people's auric field so that I can be able, very, very effectively, so that way I can be able to read people on a deeper level so that I can know who's the trustworthy ones, who's the untrustworthy ones, who's the ones that are bringing me, who has positive energy that will be able to exchange appropriately with me so that we can get along with each other well, versus those people who have negative energy and who are more of a negative black hole where they just suck in other people's positive energies. That way, that protects me being able to be aware of this stuff that's going on ahead of time. But also, as a personal development consultant, for me, being able to read people very effectively also affords me to be able to know what's really going on within a person's overall being that's been getting them in trouble, so that way I can diagnose it for them and be able to let them know what's going on for the things that they haven't been able to be aware of, and what type of negative beliefs they have that limits them, and how to overcome those things. So utilize whatever psychic information that you get to help you become more sensitive. Utilize it wisely, maturely, and don't be an a-hole. Don't disrespect people's free will, including the spying, because there is a way to psychically spy on people, and there is a way to protect yourself from people doing that. And I'm going to leave that alone for right there. So what you want to do is, what I've learned throughout the years to increase your psychic senses is, number one, you have to have the beliefs that that psychic senses are real, and you have to get out of your limiting beliefs that say that they're not real, because they actually are. And they're a gift from our Creator to provide us it for a variety of reasons. All it is psychic senses is just another way of experiencing life. That's what it is. It's another thing for me now. It's like breathing. It's like seeing people, places, and things outside of myself and experiencing life. It's not nothing spooky. The more I got into it, the more I realized, okay, look, it's nothing spooky. So what? I can read people. So what? I can do certain things psychically. It's like, okay, it's not a big deal to me now. So you have to change your beliefs. And also one of the most basic ways, but it's difficult for many people, is meditation. Doing more traditional meditations and spending more time by yourself, and decreasing, if not eliminating watching TV at all. Because like I said, the TV decreases people's psychic sensitivity, in particular those people who have not reached a high spiritual energetic level to where they're not affected negatively by these waves here in our society. These various radio waves and different low vibrating electromagnetic waves. So what I've learned, meditation is a great basic free way of increasing your psychic sensitivity. And I remember one time when I did my early meditations back near like between 2012 and 2013, I was going into a meditation, and like the first few minutes of it, when I was going into it, like there was like wind that blew a paper that I had on a desk of mine, that blew the paper off of the desk, and it was floating down to the ground. And I was so sensitive at that moment where I can literally feel the energy of that paper. I can feel it all the way from when it flew off of the desk and it was floating all the way down to the ground. And I was so sensitive. I knew where it was, even with my eyes closed. I knew where it was and where it was going and where it was landing. It was landing like, you know how where you see feathers, like a feather from like a bird, and it floats the way it floats. That's how I felt it energetically with my eyes closed. And it was that, and then what else? There was something else going on around me, and I felt it because I felt it also felt it in my central nervous system. That's another thing. You have to fast. You have to clean out your dirty internal body. That's another thing that they do, our societies do, to keep us psychically insensitive, is getting us to eat the wrong foods, the wrong times, and also the wrong amounts. Because the more you eat, even if you eat organic foods, the more you stuff your insides, the more you stuff it up and you become less sensitive. And your central nervous system also is connected to your brain, and that is also a part that is connected to your psychic sensitivity. The more you eat and the heavier you eat, the more you are going to decrease your overall energy within yourself, and the more your body is going to be sensitive. It's going to be desensitized to the subtle energies. So you have to eat less, fast more, drink more adequate amounts of water, because water is necessary for the brain, especially the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is filled with water, and it needs to be filled with water and energy. Go ahead and study the pineal gland and you will see what I'm talking about, and it is true. So cut out all of those fast food restaurants, fast food foods that you've been stuffing yourself with. And that's all negative stuff. Fast, learn about fasting and psychic senses. It's really, really true. And then the also thing is changing your programming, your mental programming regarding psychic senses. For me, I've been using my own subliminals. I have a psychic subliminal that has been helping me out to cover other aspects of my mind where the media dogma has been putting limits. I have accepted negative limiting beliefs in the past from the media propaganda regarding psychic abilities and stuff like that. So now I've been reconditioning my mind to be more receptive to everything psychic and also the subtle energies. That has helped me as a tool within my personal development journey. So what I'm going to do is, if you would like more information about my own personal development subliminals, you can check my website out at transformationsubliminals.com. That is where I have a wealth of information about subliminals and how they work. And also you can go to my YouTube channel at NeoOnenessSubliminals. I have another YouTube channel. And if you have more questions, comments, and concerns, you can email me at NeoOnenessSubliminals@gmail.com. That one, there has so many S's in it, so for some people they might get confused. So it's best, as far as that email address, just go to my website and then contact me through the contact form to be easier for that. Or you can just email me at NeoOneness@gmail.com. That is my spiritual email where I handle spiritual matters. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. Like I said, it's too long. Definitely click that thumbs up, like button if you got this far, and also if it has benefited you in one way or another. That helps out the channel. That helps spread this video out to other people who might be interested in it. So go ahead and click that like button. It's so easy and it's free, and you have to be signed into a YouTube account in order for it to you to be able to do that. Comment in the comment section anything that you have learned from this, or any of your experiences that you have in the past, or even a simple thank you. That helps with the participation of the YouTube algorithm to let YouTube know that people are actually watching and participating in my videos here. Click that subscribe button if you would like more information about spirituality, relationships, and personal development. Thank you very much, and until next time.